How did a player with only one scoring title become the all-time leading scorer? He was always behind Kareem since his rookie year per season on total points scored, but if he stayed near long enough and played at a high level, he would eventually pass that line, as he did. He scored cumulatively less every season until his year 20 season, but his longevity and consistency to score on an elite rate, but not trying too hard to chase it or outscore on a game-by-game or season-by-season basis is unique among stars. LeBron didn't have the greatest passing Hall of Fame type point guards feeding him assists throughout his career like Malone had with Stockton. LeBron prides himself on playing the right way. LeBron never cheated the game, and he's been rewarded with this milestone because of it. There's many games where he could have scored more than his career high of 61 points, but always did enough for the wins, but not tried to stat pad. Could have had more of a larger career high and more scoring titles, but these weren't the things he was after.
It was towards the end of the season, and I had an opportunity to lead the league in scoring. And I was like, yeah, but we're not going to make the playoffs no matter what. And me being out on the floor, trying to go for a scoring record in games that don't matter, it felt so corny to me. So I was like, I'm not even gonna finish. I'm not gonna be able to qualify because I'm not gonna play any of these games. So that has never mattered to me unless it was about winning.
This is the career scoring leaders and how they accumulated their points by year throughout NBA history. LeBron may not be the most aesthetic scorer, but nobody can deny his ability to score. It's time to readdress the question about who's the greatest scorer of all time and what it really means to be the greatest scorer. LeBron showed that consistency wins the race. Even scoring legends like T-Mac questioned if LeBron would ever be the one to break the 39-year-old record only a few years ago.
Kareem's all-time record for points is a little bit over 38,000, and you were like, I don't think he's gonna get it.
I don't think he's going to get it. We're talking about over the next 5 years, he has to average. It's not so much what he has to average, the total points that he has to get, right? Because he can miss a lot of games and still average 21 points. But I just don't see it, man. That's a lot of points over the next 5 years.
So here's the thing with Bron. Do you think of Bron as a scorer?
No.
I mean, like, that's not even identity-wise how I think of him. I think of Kevin Durant as a scorer.
40,000 if he could reach that? Shit.
The crazy thing is, I'm not like a natural scorer. I love getting my guys involved. I've always been that way. I've always the point of seeing my teammate succeed off my pass or having I've always been that type of guy. And to sit at the top of the food chain and the most points scored in the history of the game is it's weird to me. They don't ever call me. They don't ever call me. When they talk about the best scorers of all time, they never mention my name.
Who's the greatest scorer of this era? Is it Steph? Is it James? KD?
LeBron James.
Scorer.
LeBron James.
I hear exactly what you're saying. I hear exactly what you're saying. The greatest scorer is not only its consistency, its longevity, and its amount. LeBron James, playoff scoring, right? Playoff scoring. He passed Michael Jordan 3 seasons ago, and he's going to add to that, right? Or before his career ends. So to pass LeBron James in all-time playoff scoring records, somebody is going to have to do what? Average 30 points a game and go to 13 NBA finals. That shit's not gonna be broken. The playoff one's not, and then he's gonna pass Kareem. So as much as we don't view him as a scorer, right? Steph's greatest shooter, Kevin Durant, greatest weapon as a scorer because he's so big, but who's the greatest scorer? When you're talking about the greatest scorers of all time, would you put Michael Jordan and Kobe and Kareem and Karl Malone up there? But you don't consider Bron, even though he's about to pass all of those guys.
You yourself have said you're not a scorer, but doesn't this have to tear a hole in that argument?
I think in the sense of, I know how to put the ball in the hole, that's for sure. And when I say I'm not a scorer, I say it in the sense of it's never been the part of my game that defined me. I've always wanted to be a triple threat, to be able to rebound, assist, and be able to score as well, to just keep the defense at bay, but also wanted to be able to defend at a high level, communicate at a high level, try to be a great teammate, night in and night out. But there's an argument to it. When you look at you know, how long this record has stood.
While many of LeBron's points were self-made, here is the ranking of LeBron's teammates that assisted on his points. Wade led the way despite only playing 4 seasons with LeBron in Miami and around half a season on the Cavs. The valleys on these graphs are only due to seasons where he played fewer games due to injuries in the lockout 2011-2012 season. A few noticeable trends is LeBron dunking less as he got older. His free throw attempts have also gone down significantly. His primary points distribution is now from layups, with an increase in jump shots and fadeaways. Despite this trend to not be as physically dominant, LeBron's efficiency hasn't taken much of a hit.
It's not like I have a signature one-leg Dirk fadeaway or a Pat Michael Jordan fadeaway or a Kareem Sky hook, you know, or a dream shake. I've been able to, you know, do things that just is not a signature. I think the only signature thing that people always talk about is like my signature tomahawk dunk in transition.
While LeBron's majority of points still come from 2-point field goals, in recent years we've seen his points distribution percentage is now consisted more from 3-point shots than free throws. This might be the most telling story, as his Lakers tenure is his first team where he scores more 3-pointers than free throws.
Over the course of my career, I've just gotten better with every facet of my game. There were times where I didn't really have a low post game. I wasn't a low post threat. There was times where I wasn't a threat from the mid-range. There was times where I wasn't a threat from the outside. There were times where you could literally just try to bait me into doing things that I wasn't great at. I've evolved into where I do what I want to do on the floor.
This is the shot chart view of all of LeBron's points during the 2003-2004 season with the Cavs, which was his rookie season.
When you think back to that first NBA bucket you had, what goes through your minds?
How nervous I was. I knew that I was ready for the moment. I knew that I belonged in the greatest league in the world, but I didn't know what to expect. You know, and I was just super nervous. I didn't know how my first bucket was going to come. I didn't know, how it's going to be a layup or a free throw. I was hoping it would be a layup, but it ended up being a baseline jump shot fadeaway by our bench, and actually a kind of difficult shot too. But I was just so nervous with excitement, nervous with I don't want to fail. I don't want to let people down. But just proud that I was able to accomplish one of my goals, to be a part of the NBA.
This is the shot chart view of all of LeBron's points during the 2012-2013 season with the Heat, which was his last MVP season. This is the shot chart view of all of LeBron's points during the 2021-2022 season and the season so far. This is due in large part due to the three-point revolution, with teams all across the league attempting more threes than ever before. LeBron logically scored most of his career points in Cleveland, as that was the team he spent the most years on. LeBron is almost past his Heat's points total, though as a Laker now. What's remarkable was LeBron was unnoticeably accumulating all these points. He only has 1 scoring title while Jordan has 10, but he's 5th all time. You would suspect KD or Harden, who have many more scoring titles than LeBron, would be the ones to reach this record. LeBron was just so unnoticeable throughout his career when accumulating points. In total points scored per season, he finished second for 8 straight seasons right after his rookie season, where even then he scored the 8th most points that season. A few things to note: the scoring title was originally determined by total points scored through the 1968-1969 season, after which points per game was used to determine the leader instead. The 3-point field goal was introduced in the NBA at the start of the 1979-1980 season. To qualify for the scoring title, a player must appear in at least 58 games out of 82. During those 8 straight seasons of scoring the second most points per season, different players came and swapped scoring the most total points for each season, and even winning scoring titles along those seasons. He just consistently snuck up on everyone who was racking up total points, but never cared for being number 1 in either category. In his prime, he won 1 scoring title, most points per game per season. He came second 3 times, came third 6 times. If you only pay attention to the scoring titles every year, or the most total points scored for the season, arguing about the GOAT conversation at MVP, you would completely miss what LeBron's been doing throughout his career and how great his prime really was. All this, and we're not even talking about his assists. He's the youngest player to reach every milestone for career points, from 1,000 in all 1,000 increments all the way to 38,000 points. When LeBron was the youngest to reach every scoring milestone, it started off as just a side note, but as he kept getting closer and closer, the commentary became louder.
Pass to LeBron. Whoa. Milestone for LeBron James, youngest player ever to reach 10,000 career points.
LeBron with a pull-up. James hit it! The youngest in NBA history with 20,000 career points.
This is a Porter. He picked up that early foul, sends one, and hits it from three. 3 up.
LeBron James doing a good job of sizing up the opponent. He got it now.
So he's got 27,002 in his illustrious career. Youngest, of course, at every plateau.
You know what's coming.
Looking for James. He's got it. Coming to the end of the third quarter. LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
These are career scoring leaders, and surprisingly the top 3 have a lot less scoring titles than you would remember. LeBron only has 1 scoring title, while Kareem has 2 and Karl Malone never won one. In this era, we care too much about titles and accolades. When comparing to the other top career scorers, LeBron's 1 scoring title was never the indication of who would top this record. Kareem, Shaq, and Kobe only had 2 scoring titles each. Karl Malone, Moses Malone, Dirk all made the top 10 without ever even winning a scoring title. These are the career scoring leaders and how they ranked in scoring title finishes per year in their careers. This shows why you don't need to win the scoring title or even chase them to get to this record, as long as you could consistently rank among the top points per game leaders per season. These are the career scoring leaders and how they ranked in total points scored per year in their careers. Sometimes the goal isn't just to be number 1. As long as you can consistently rank top among total points scored per season, you'll already be on track to get to the record. The leaders in total career points surprisingly are number 1 in these categories in most of their respective seasons over the course of their careers. They all just happen to accumulate these points totals while never really chasing for it.
Wasn't like a goal of mine when I entered the league. Making an all-star team, being rookie of the year, being first team All-NBA, first team on defense, winning a championship for sure, being an MVP of the league.
For both of those?
Yeah. but the scoring record was never, ever even thought of in my head.
Here's another video of another star from the same generation who should have cemented his own legacy more as an all-time scorer had he not been suspended during his prime.